Let's talk about a weird contradiction that millions of people in India know all too well. It's the story of the silent graduate. You know, the person who has the degree, has all the knowledge, but when it comes time to speak, there's a hesitation. And that really is the big question, isn't it? After 12 whole years of studying English in school, why is there this silence? Why do so many of us find it so hard to just speak confidently? Well, let's break down what's really going on. I mean, first, just think about the sheer amount of time we're talking about. 8 to 12 years. This isn't some weekend workshop we're talking about. For most of us, English started way back in elementary school, sometimes even earlier. That is a massive chunk of our lives. And it's not like we were bad at it, right? A lot of us scored really well, 75%, 80%, even higher. We knew the grammar, we wrote the essays, we got the marks. On paper, we looked like we were experts. And yet, here we are. You've got the degree, you've got the resume, everything's ready to go. But when it's time to actually open your mouth and speak in a meeting or an interview, there's that pause, that silence. How does that even happen? This whole thing is so common, we're just going to call it what it is, the 12-year silence. Let's dig a little deeper into this paradox. You see, in India, English is literally all around us. It's on our report cards. It's in the job descriptions for the jobs we want. It's how we write corporate emails. It's on every single question paper we ever took. The only place it seems to be missing is in our own voices, in our own conversations. So what is the root cause of all of this? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The whole problem comes down to how we were taught. English was treated as a subject to study, not a skill to be practiced. And let me be super clear about this. This is not about you. It's not a personal failure. It's not because you're not smart, and it's definitely not because you didn't study hard enough. The problem lies with the system, not the student. Our education system basically treated English like it was history or geography. We got points for things like correct answers, neat handwriting, and memorizing essays. But the system completely ignored the things that actually build fluency, you know? Like speaking confidence, or learning to think in English, or having a real-time conversation. It was never treated like a muscle you need to train. And this way of teaching has a very real, very tangible consequence in our adult lives. It creates this mental bottleneck that trips us up every single day. We call it the translation trap. And I bet you know people who are caught in this trap. It's the brilliant engineer who can write complex code but goes completely silent in a group discussion. It's the MBA professional who writes these amazing flawless emails, but their heart is pounding out of their chest before a presentation. It's even the experienced manager who, after a decade in the field, still secretly feels, my English isn't good enough. The issue isn't knowledge, it's a lack of trained output. So what's actually going on inside our heads in that moment? Well, because we were never trained to think in English, our brain goes through this slow, clunky four-step process. First, we form the thought in our native language. Then, we start mentally translating it to English. That translation creates a little delay, which leads to hesitation. And that hesitation just completely kills our confidence. We know the language, but we don't own it. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now, what's the solution? Do we need to read more grammar books, go to more classes? Nope. The solution is much, much simpler than that. And it all comes down to what we're going to call the missing 10 minutes. Think about it like this. You can't learn to be a good driver by just reading the car manual, right? You can't get fit by just watching gym videos. Fluency is exactly the same. It's not built by studying more, by underlining words, or memorizing things. It's built through active practice, through repetition, through conversation, and, this is the important part, by making mistakes and getting feedback. Now, just imagine a tiny change. What if, from 5th grade onwards, every student had to just speak in English for 10 minutes a day? No big deal, right? Just 10 minutes. Well, let's do the math on that. 10 minutes a day for about 200 school days a year, over 8 years of school. That simple 10-minute habit adds up to more than 260 hours of active speaking practice. Now ask yourself honestly, how many hours of speaking practice did you actually get in all those years? For most of us, the answer is pretty close to 0. That right there, that is the entire gap. And this is maybe the single most important idea to take away from all of this. Your struggle has nothing to do with how smart you are or how much you studied. It's simply a practice deficit. You are not undereducated. You are just under-practiced.
So, where do we go from here? We can't change the past, that's for sure. But the future is all about understanding what's needed now and taking ownership of our own voices. Because the modern world doesn't just reward people who can pass exams anymore. It needs clear thinkers who can actually explain their ideas. It needs confident speakers who can lead a team. It needs independent communicators. Being the silent graduate is just not an option anymore. And that brings us to confidence. We tend to think of it as some kind of personality trait you're either born with or you're not. But that's not true at all. Confidence is an outcome. It's a skill that is trained, just like anything else, through simple, daily, and consistent practice. Let's end on this final thought. The fact that the system failed to prepare you, that hesitating to speak after all those years of school, that is not your fault. But fixing it, building that practice, and finally finding your voice, that is now your responsibility. And the path forward is really simple. It's not about finding some perfect magical course. It's just about starting. Find a way to speak, even for a few minutes every single day. Practice, and then repeat. That is how the silence finally ends.